Today I'm going to give you some tips on how to make scanning with your new Einstar scanner a little easier. Let's get into it. You might find it nearly impossible to get those tiny objects with the Einstar. Specifically, objects 4 inches or less. They can be very challenging. Honestly, I'd recommend you get a turntable in addition to the Einstar. It really complements the scanner. But what if you don't have one? What if for some reason the turntable isn't going to work for this object? Try this. Put markers on the table with your object and use the markers as your primary reference point. You can easily make your way around the object. If you need more perspectives, try starting a new project group, flip the object, and try again. You can do this as many times as necessary. But make sure for each of your new perspectives, you get parts of your object that are in our previous scan so we can align them together. Go through each of your scans, delete the garbage data, and align them together one by one. You can even turn off the marker view. And there we are. We have a perfectly scanned, very small object. No turntable needed, only a table and some markers. There are a few materials that you might find some trouble with when scanning. Reflective and transparent materials are the worst offenders. That's why the pros use a scanner spray. It goes on easy to apply a matte white coat and evaporates on its own, so no cleanup. But it can be a little expensive, so what else can we use? Dry shampoo. It's half the cost and gets the job done. Only caveat is that you have to clean it off, and it can be a real pain if your objects have deep cracks or crevices. Still, that's 20 bucks. What else do we have? Well, if you don't care about cleaning it, spray paint. I mean, it works. Just make sure it's matte paint and be careful with the fumes. The small object mode with Einstar really wants you to get close. Sometimes that makes scans difficult. Objects with hard angles and areas that don't play nice have their issues exacerbated by a super close scanning distance. Here's something you might not have thought of. Just use the medium to large object mode. Some difficult small objects are made super easy in the medium to large object mode. The larger distance really helps. It opens up possibilities of using reference objects or more markers to help those bad angles. The only trade-off is reduced point distance, but it's a great option to keep in mind. I know many people probably saw the object size recommendations in the UI for these modes and assumed they were set in stone. Well, they aren't. Break the rules. If it works, it works. This one might seem kind of silly and obvious, but it's still worth mentioning, as I've actually seen people make this mistake before. Make sure you're holding the scanner like this, not like this. Not only is this much more comfortable, but if you have bigger hands than mine, which isn't hard, you could stick your fingers in front of the camera and leave a smudge, which is a big no-no. Also, try not to hyperflex your wrist too. Without a proper handle, it's kind of easy to do stuff like this. And if you're using the scanner a lot, like me, trust me when I say it's worth paying attention to your ergonomics. Let's talk about hair. The Einstar is really good at hair, but it's not perfect at hair. Thin hair, black hair, shiny hair, all these will make it harder to get good scans. Make sure your subject is well kempt. Brush hair into voluminous masses rather than scattered strands. Strands do not scan well. Use our old friend dry shampoo to reduce shine and give a little brightness to pitch black hair. Don't worry, we can fix the color in post. Lastly, I've got a very important tip for scanning human subjects, especially important on faces. When you scan human subjects, you will find that no matter how still your subject is, they will still move ever so slightly, which is fine, but over time, these micro movements will build up. Nowhere is this more noticeable than in the face. That's why I always scan the head first and thoroughly. I do this so I never have to return to it. If you return to the head after a while scanning other parts of the body, it can cause strange artifacts and deformities on the face to occur. This was caused by the built-up micro movements that occurred when we were scanning the other parts. Try to remember that a human subject is a very one-and-done scanning process. If your scan does not look good, start over. When it comes to human scanning, fresh data is always necessary. Alright, that's all I have for today. Thanks for watching.